I was sitting in my car on a surveillance job in Sacramento when my phone buzzed. It was a message from a guy in Tampa who had been watching my videos. He said, "Lance, I want to become a private investigator here in Florida, but I don't know where to start." I hear that question a lot. Every state has its own process, and Florida has one of the most structured systems out there. So while I was keeping an eye on my subject that day, I called him back and walked him through what it really takes to get licensed in the Sunshine State. My name is Lance. I spent over 10 years as a police officer before becoming a licensed private investigator more than 25 years ago. I've helped a lot of people across the country figure out how to start their own PI careers, and I still remember how confusing it can be when you're just getting started. So let's talk about how to become a private investigator in Florida, step by step. And I'll tell you exactly what I told that guy from Tampa. The first thing I explained is that Florida doesn't just hand you a PI license, you have to earn it. Everyone starts with what is called a Class CC intern license. Think of this like your apprenticeship. Before you can apply for it, you have to complete 40 hours of professional training from a school or instructor approved by the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. That's the agency that handles licensing for private investigators in Florida. It's not the police and it's not the courts. It's the same department that oversees security and investigative businesses. After you finish that 40-hour course, you can apply for a Class CC license. You'll fill out the application, get fingerprinted, and go through a background check. You have to be at least 18 years old, a U.S. citizen or legal resident, and you can't have any disqualifying criminal convictions. That background check is serious. It's similar to what I had to go through back when I was in law enforcement. Once that intern license is approved, you're officially allowed to work under a licensed investigator in Florida. That's when the real learning begins. I told the guy from Tampa that this phase is where you learn how investigations actually work: surveillance, interviews, report writing, evidence handling, and professionalism. When I first became a PI, I spent months sitting in cars, watching, waiting, and learning how people move. Florida's intern license gives you that same opportunity to learn from someone experienced before you even have to go out on your own. Now, after you've completed the internship, you can apply for your full license, the Class C private investigator license. To qualify, Florida requires at least 2 years of full-time verifiable investigative experience. That experience can come from working under a licensed PI, law enforcement, the military, or even insurance or corporate investigations. If you have a college credits in criminal justice or related fields, you can count up to 1 year of that toward your total requirements. But at least 1 year has to come from real investigative work. When I explained this part to him, he said, "So I can't just take a course online and be licensed next week?" I laughed and said, "No, it doesn't work like that. This isn't a weekend certification. Florida wants to make sure you're actually done the work before giving you a license. And honestly, that's a good thing. The best investigators are those ones who spent time in the field, not just in the classroom." Once he had his hours lined up, I told him about the final step, the state exam. Florida makes you pass a written test that covers Chapter 493 of the Florida statutes, which is all about private investigation and security services. The exam checks whether you understand the laws that govern surveillance, confidentiality, and the limits of your authority. When I got my California license, I had to take a similar test. I still remember flipping through the study guide at my kitchen table at midnight, making sure I knew every detail about what I could and couldn't do legally. It's not hard if you prepare, but it's not something you can just guess your way through either. Once you pass your exam, you submit your fingerprints, a recent photo, and your licensing fees, about $160 to $170 depending on the type of license. You also need proof of your training and work experience. After everything checks out, the state will issue you a license and you'll officially be a private investigator in Florida. Now, when I told him that my friend in Tampa, he got quiet for a second. He got quiet for a second. He said, "That sounds like a lot. And I said, yeah, it is, but it's worth it. Becoming a PI isn't supposed to be easy. It's a profession built on patience, attention to detail, and persistence. You can't shortcut experience, but you can plan for it. A few months later, I got another message from him. He said, Lance, I passed the exam. I got my license. He sent me a picture of his wallet card, smiling like he had just won the lottery. And honestly, I get it. That moment, when you finally hold that license, it feels like part of something bigger. You're not just watching from the sidelines anymore. You're part of the investigative world. So if you're watching this and you're thinking about becoming a private investigator in Florida, remember, start with your training. Find a licensed PI to work under. Log your hours, study for the exam, and never rush the process. Every hour you put in is an investment in your future. And even if you're not in Florida, maybe you're in California like me, the steps are similar. Everywhere. Learn the law, build experience, and take it seriously. This job isn't about catching people. It's about uncovering the truth and doing it the right way. So if you're serious about becoming a private investigator, click the link in the description. I put together a free career checklist that shows you every step to get started, plus an ebook that goes deeper into how to build your business once you're licensed. You'll find both of them there.